And so, welcome to Mount Sinai Calm Mindfulness Pause on this beautiful autumn day. And last week we talked about our attention and how important it is in this day and age to direct our attention to where we want it to be, not what kind of captures our attention or distracts us. And a word that captures this type of attention and focus is mindfulness. And I want to talk a little bit about Frank Ostaseski. He is a wonderful, wonderful teacher and an author of a wonderful book called The Five Invitations. He is the co-founder of the Zen Hospice Project for AIDS patients in San Francisco many, many years ago. And Frank says that mindfulness is a straightforward enough word. It just means the mind is fully attending to what's happening, to what you're working on, or to the person you are listening to, or to the surroundings that you're moving through. He says this is a basic human capacity, which we know that it is. And yet, he points out, this is often elusive. Our mindfulness can slip away in an instant. We've all experienced that. We get lost in distraction, we get caught up in obsessive thinking, we're consumed by worry or planning or fantasizing or comparing or judging. And so the mindfulness slips away and we find ourselves living in our story rather than our direct experience. And so mindfulness is a very simple concept, but it's not so easy to be mindful. And I love this story that Frank tells about the time he was invited to teach meditation at his daughter's Catholic school. He says, I was to meet with several 8th grade religion classes over the course of a day. And when the first class arrived, I asked them to settle into their seats, close their eyes, and begin to focus their attention on the breath. And he proceeded to offer them fairly traditional meditation instruction. And he says it went over like a lead balloon. There wasn't a single question or comment at the end of the meditation class. And so with the second class, he says, I knew I would need a different and more engaging approach. So I suggested that they begin by arranging their desks into pairs, ideally with someone that they liked. Then I began the new meditation instruction. And he said, today, I would like to teach you how to kiss really well. Well, he said the normally apathetic 8th graders lifted their heads and their eyes got wide as saucers. And the teacher in the back of the room looked a bit alarmed and began to clear his throat to get Frank's attention. And so Frank continued, when you're kissing somebody, you want to be there for the experience. You don't want the other person looking out the window. You don't want to be checking your phone for texts. And he goes on to say, a kiss is an intimate act. At its best, it engages all of our senses. You want to be able to see, hear, smell, taste, and touch in ways that are vivid, fresh, and alive. And ideally, you want to feel your heart fully and observe your mind with curiosity. It's unlikely you will be able to open to these experiences if you haven't cultivated the habit of attention. We have to learn to kiss the moment. And as you might imagine, the students became much more interested in the meditation. And now with an inspired intention, they were genuinely motivated to engage in the practice. Isn't that beautiful? I love that. And so if we just think about kissing the moment in all that vividness. So word spread throughout the school, Frank says, that the 8th graders should be sure to attend the religious class taught by a rather unique guest teacher. And so our mindfulness practice is the capacity of the mind to collect, gather, and attend to a given object. And the meditation is the way that we cultivate that capacity. It's much like going to the gym to keep our bodies fit or showering to keep ourselves clean. Mindfulness is just good mental hygiene. I used to do some mindfulness presentations with a neurologist, and he used to tell me how he would say to his patients, what are you doing for your exercise? And they would tell him, did you shower today? Of course I did, doc. I always do. Did you brush your teeth? Of course I did. And then he would say, and what did you do for your mind today? And they would stop cold. What do you mean? And then he would tell them a little bit about meditation and mental hygiene and how important it is. So mindfulness is an important aspect of the meditation practice. But Frank advises us, don't objectify it. Don't make it into a big something that you aren't doing it right. Don't expect magic to happen when you do get it right. He says idealism is one of the occupational hazards of the spiritual path. It can be the death of any practice. When we create a spiritual ideal, we hold tight to some vision of where we think we should be. Then we use that idea to not be where we are. So he says, just keep it simple, folks. He says, when I get up in the morning, I brush my teeth. If I don't, my mouth tastes terrible. And it's not so different with meditation. If we don't do it regularly, we don't meet our day and perform our tasks in the ideal way that we could. We do it rather on automatic pilot. So he goes on to clear up some misconceptions about meditation that get in the way of practice, which I think are well worth reviewing. Mindfulness doesn't take more time. I'll say that again. Mindfulness doesn't take more time. Being mindless takes more time. Mindfulness is not time-consuming, it is time-enhancing. It's not about adding another activity to your life. It's about bringing your own attention to your life. It's about being present for our life. And so when we're fully present, we make the right decisions for ourselves. We remember things. So mindfulness doesn't take more time. And so the meditation element of mindfulness is what hones our capacity to be fully present. And so we can look at that as a time saver as well. If I practice my meditation, then at the other end, I am going to be fully present and my life will be richer, it will be more vivid, I will remember more. So it's really, the meditation isn't about looking a certain way, he assures us. It's not about adopting a certain position or about a religious belief system. Excuse me. Mindfulness meditation asks only that, excuse me, we pay attention to our direct experience and learn from what we observe, feel, and sense. Our sensory awareness is important. He says mindfulness is not just inward looking. It can guide our outward actions. The clarity that we develop when we release that cluttered thinking illuminates how our relationship to our experience can either cause suffering or cultivate wisdom. And so this really enables us to nurture a different, more helpful response the next time that we encounter a challenging situation or a challenging person or a challenging thought. It helps us to remain calm and grounded in the midst of an argument with a child or a neighbor or a boss or a partner. And when we confront illness or when we confront loss, we can draw on our cultivated tranquility and access that wise inner guidance that we've cultivated through our practice. And so we practice with our breath. And next week we'll begin to practice with our body scan. But the breath invites us to rest, to restore, and to really be revitalized. We unhook ourselves from that daily frenzy, and we bring into balance that instinctive tendency that we all have to go into the fight, flight, or freeze response. And the breath invites us into the body, and John O'Donohue, the wonderful wild Irish poet, once wrote, "We need to come home to the temple of our senses. Our bodies know that they belong. It is our minds that make us homeless." So we come home as we sense the breath's texture, the rhythm and the pace, and the differing length of each inhale and exhale. And with time and practice, we learn to align with the breath and move with it, to allow the breath its own natural depth and flow. And so as we relinquish command of the breath, we gradually begin to feel the breath breathing us. And this, folks, is really good training for releasing control of and understanding how to cooperate in life. In the breath, we're cooperating with nature. So let's practice a meditation that will tap into our breath as well as our sensory awareness. And sensory awareness is such an important element of mindfulness. Our senses are always in the present moment. What we're feeling through our sense of touch is what we're feeling in this moment right now. What we're feeling through our taste or through our smell is what we're tasting and smelling right now. And our breath takes us to those moments. So we sense our breath. We sense it through our feeling the breath. And so this is how we kiss the moment. And so I love that phrase, and I hope that you will all use it throughout the day when you remind yourself to be mindful. I'm kissing the moment just as it is. So let's begin the meditation by sitting in an upright posture, or you can lay down if you so choose, or you can stand. If you've been sitting all day and you feel like you want to stand for a bit, then that's perfectly acceptable. But we want a posture that's alert, but something that we can relax into. So just finding that comfortable place. And if you're sitting, or if you're standing, of course your feet will be on the floor. And so just feeling into the feet on the floor. If you have bare feet, you can really feel the floor. Or you might be aware of clothing on your feet, the socks or the shoes. And then notice where your hands are resting. What are they touching? And what are you noticing through that sense of touch? And notice how whatever is supporting you, notice how your body is touching that. If you're seated, then you can probably feel your buttocks, the backs of your legs, touching the chair. Or if you're lying down, you can feel the back body, the spine, the buttocks, the legs, touching the mat or whatever you're lying on. And then notice where you feel your clothing. Notice that light touch of clothing. Is it tight, or is the clothing tight? It might be tight in certain areas and loose in other areas. We're just exploring with curiosity. Does the clothing feel coarse or soft? We're just heightening our attention, our awareness on this very specific physical sense of being. The clothing, how it touches our skin. And then noticing the skin, particularly the bare skin. Is there coolness Or is there heat? Or is there moisture? What are you noticing on your bare skin? That super light touch of the air touching the skin? And then we're all breathing in this moment. And so where do you notice your breath? And what does it feel like to be breathing in this moment? Notice the physical changes as you inhale. That could be around the chest or around the belly. And then notice what happens as you exhale. What are the changes as you exhale? The body expands and contracts with each breath. Just being curious. How does the body know when to let go of the breath? It just does. Automatically, the body releases, preparing for the next breath. You might even bring your attention to your nostrils. And as you inhale, notice the coolness of the air as it enters your body. Be with the full sensation of the inhale in the nostrils. And then on the exhale, how does it feel different? It might be warmer. There's a difference in the feel. So just exploring this. We're just paying really close attention to what's happening in our body and around our body physically. And then begin to expand within the body, outside the body, and inside the body. And just notice how physical sensations emerge. They arise, and then they begin to dissipate, fall away. There could be tingling. There could be a prickly feeling. Pulsing. Pressure. What am I noticing? Where is my attention right now? And it's probably gone to thinking. And when you notice, very kindly and gently bringing the mind back to where we're at, which is just exploring the body, the inside and the outside. What am I feeling through my senses? What are the sensations? And not trying to change anything, but rather just being with however the sensation presents. And if it's something that's uncomfortable for you or painful, can you explore it a little? Bringing the breath to it. Using other words other than pain. Words like pressure, prickly, stabbing. Noticing the edges, the borders, the shape. Perhaps even identifying a color. And perhaps noticing how the sensation shifts, changes. And now we're going to turn our attention away from the body and towards our sense of hearing. So pausing to just notice sound that's coming from afar. Noticing what's happening way outside of your immediate surroundings. It could be the distant sound of traffic, or a plane, or birds. Or perhaps you don't hear sounds far out, but you do hear sounds in your immediate surroundings. And so notice that. It could be somebody moving in another room or speaking. It could be the hum of appliances. With this practice of mindfulness, we're building our capacity to notice more. And right now, we're just noticing sounds. You may notice your body making sounds, your stomach gurgling, or you may hear the sound of your breath, breathing in, breathing out. And then turning your attention towards your sense of smell. What do you smell in your environment? Or perhaps there's a lack of smell right now. When our mind starts to settle and our nervous system starts to steady, we shift into a more awake and aware state of being, where our senses light up. And so oftentimes we notice things that we don't notice when we're living through our busy mind. And closely aligned with smell is taste. And so notice if you taste anything, perhaps the remnants of your lunch, or a drink that you may have had, or perhaps there's a lack of taste. And begin to notice, what am I experiencing through my sense of taste and smell throughout your day? Even though it may not be much, it helps us to remember to notice taste when we're actually eating or drinking. So just exploring this. And then we're going to move to our sense of sight. And I'm going to ask you to open your eyes for a moment, noticing your macro vision and what's happening in your wide vision all around the room. And so noticing what are the colors, the shapes, and looking with new eyes like you've never seen this before. Perhaps noticing the shifting of the light, the shadows, textures, movement and stillness. And then steadying your head as you just begin to notice your peripheral vision, what's happening right out from your sides that you're not really looking at, but you have a sense of it being there. And so we're expanding our capacity to see by focusing our attention on this sense. And then coming in a little more closely to your immediate surroundings, just sort of halfway, and again noticing colors, textures, objects, movement, stillness, light. And then bringing it even closer, directly in front of you. This practice of mindfulness is strength building. We're building strength in our capacity to recognize our senses, to heighten our senses, so that we live in high definition sensory awareness. And then closing your eyes once more as we finish the practice. And as we close our eyes, notice your mind. Notice the thoughts that come and go across your mental screen. They could be big thoughts or little thoughts, happy thoughts or not so happy thoughts. We don't need to label them. We're just noticing. Just as smells come and go, thoughts come and go. Just as goosebumps arise and dissipate, so do thoughts. And so, in many ways, our thoughts can be considered our sixth sense. And so as you move in and out of your body today, in and out of your day today, notice your six senses, your sense of feeling in your body. Smell, taste, hearing, sound, sight, and your sense of thought. Allow thoughts to come and go, just like a bird comes and goes across your vision, as we heighten our capacity to recognize our senses as part of our mindfulness practice. And now I'll ring the bell 3 times, and just simply place your awareness and your attention on hearing the vibrations of the bell as they come to you, and then dissolve and disappear. And now thanking yourself for taking this time today to just be in the presence of our fellow meditators. And just
Thank you, Miki. Thank you, everybody.